Yes, 348 Tennessee. Yeah, we got a copy on you. Yeah, we're talking on a Cobra 142. How's it making it?
Oh, it's crystal clear. It sounds real good over here, man. I'd take the knobs off of it so you didn't tempted to monkey with it anymore.
Hey guys, it's Bruce over here at SBE Radios in Seattle. Hey, today, we're going to talk about capacitors. Yeah, that's a subject everybody likes. You know, I've been working on this Pace 1000, the mystery CB that nobody knows about, with the main board that has no documentation. The closest thing to it, it's kind of an inverted Viking radio, or maybe a sidebander 39, something like that, but everything's inverted and not laid out the same. But we're going to talk about these old radios, and you know, especially the SBEs, the console radios, and some of those GE guys, right? Yeah, some of those off-brand CBs, they suffered from these, I almost will call this a design flaw, but they used all these 1 microfarad capacitors all over the circuits. Kind of a filter stage. Maybe they had problems with hum, you know, but they're just hidden all over here. And well, I'll say this, they use some cheap ass capacitors for that. Now there's other capacitors in here. I've changed a few. They all checked good, every single one of them. You know, that's why I don't always recommend changing all the capacitors. On a board like this, when you see things like early stage, see that little silver dot down there? That's connecting that top board to the bottom circuit, and they don't flow very good. Next thing you know, you heat it up and it breaks connections. Yeah, these boards, you just don't want to heat them up too much. You don't want to solder too much on them. It's just problematic. So that's why, you know, I wouldn't normally replace all these capacitors, but since I had to go in here and there's really no documentation to this, I just went in there and replaced them all. I mean, look at them, they're all sitting there. So let me show you what I got over this. Hey, what do we got for the mystery radio today? Hey, look at that one. See? Yeah, this is not my only Pace 1000 with a 40 channel knob. Now, I put a frequency counter in this one, so let me know, what do you think? Does that look better than that old broken flip clock, or should that flip clock have stayed even if it didn't keep time? Okay, back to the capacitors. Oh, what do we got down here? Oh, another Pace 8193. Really cool radio with 3 meters. I think this was Pace's last base station. Talking about an odd design. Yeah, these actually work okay, but an oversimplified design that shared parts, and I don't like tuning them up. They're really an oddball. Okay, now what was I saying? Oh yeah, capacitors. Okay, let's look at these guys. Get some light over here. Alright, now check this out. Here's all the caps I pulled out of this radio. Because, you know, there's really no documentation, so I'm like, okay. But once I found a couple of bad caps in the audio preamp section, I knew, okay, I remember these radios. The 1 microfarad caps are crap. So this is all pulled out. Yeah, it's a lot of work, especially on a board like that. But check this out. And this one got obviously a little too hot. But see all these normal higher value capacitors, even this guy here that got too hot, they're all in spec. I measured them on my little meter here, made sure it checked a good capacitor good, right? Now Here, I don't know how that guy got in here, but all these 1 microfarad caps are bad. One of them, the end one, is shorted. It was shorted. The other ones are almost an open. Now these two over here, they were good. So out of all those 1 microfarad capacitors, only 2 were good. Now check this out. This is a pro tip from Bruce. We all know capacitors, right? The little black mark means negative, right? Well, check out this. Some brother-in-law deal here or what, huh? Black is positive. Yeah, the line is positive. So luckily, I pulled each one out and looked at it and then checked the board. And sure, yeah, the board luckily had the little positive mark, except for one of them. But it was obvious that which one was ground. So what happens is these capacitors are also used for signal bypassing between stages. So you can only imagine these read like 0.2 microfarads or something like that. They're just not going to pass the audio signal the way they're supposed to. And if, like this one, shorted, if that was on the DC rail, yeah, the whole section's taken out. So again, I'm going to say, here's some advice about capacitors. These radios are getting old. And I hear a lot of people say, just recap them all. But most, I'd say, if you ever looked at a main board after it was recapped by an amateur, it is ugly. And then these Pace motherboards with the copper 2-sided early versions of, heat that up and it turns into a mess. Yeah. But we all know the 142 suffers those 10-volt capacitor problems. They're not so hard to replace, and the boards are a little more forgiving. The D858 CBs, now you hear me talk, I'll talk all day about those. I love the D858s. Now, I've only had to replace, because I had to, about maybe 2 or 3 capacitors in the amplifiers of those. For the most part, they hold up. Those are great radios for longevity. The caps are high quality Japanese capacitors, and don't fall for they're out of all spec and you're going to get miracle results if you replace them. Yeah, all these capacitors back here, and these aren't the best capacitors either, obviously. Look at that one. But measured on my meter, they're within spec. So yeah, same thing as the D858, except for the power supply and that pesky C179, those rigs seem to hold up the best. That's why we love the Philippines radios for the 2000s and the 142s, because the Philippines was the last place they made those radios, and they finally switched over to a better grade of capacitor. But not all things Philippines are great. Those Cobra 2000s from the Philippines, the wood on them sucked. It was like particle board that disintegrates. Alright, so that's my video here on capacitors. What do we got? Some trivia? Let's see here. What can we come up with? We'll stick with the Stoner here because it's not going to stay here that long. Okay. Who answered what radio does Stoner make besides this one? Well, they made a 10-meter radio for hams and radios for the government. So really, the Stoner and his friend over there in Mercer Island, they were just CB lovers. And they said, hey, we got all the parts. Let's design a CB radio that's better than anyone using our latest military contract designs. And voila, that's what you got. The best sideband radio for CB, I'm going to say, for they ever built. Let's hear some of your guys' Stoner trivia. I know I got a lot of it tucked in the back of my mind, but I still haven't heard from anybody that owns a Stoner or even uses it and what their opinion is. So let me know. Is it really worth the hype? Alright, 73 is Bruce in Seattle. We'll make another video about this Pace, because sometimes you don't know what you just get yourself into with these old radios. Murphy's Law will take over, and I'll show you that. 73 is Bruce.